not gonna lie to you, I woke up one day for reasons that will soon be disclosed, and I just felt like talking about how much I love this particular handheld, the Nintendo DS Lite. And really, what that initial impulse has turned into is what looks like it's going to be a 3-part series. We started with these awesome GameStop DS Lite carrying cases. It's gonna culminate when I talk about this sexy little bastard. But for part 2, a little teaser for the good stuff. I'm gonna talk about these. So these did not come with those. I actually bought these separate. And I'll tell you this, I was in GameStop as recently as like 2 months ago, and I saw these. So you can still find these sort of straggling about, refusing to go into the night. As Mario, that's his mantra. Mario never goes into the night. And neither are his DS carrying cases. So one of the reasons I was so effing excited about these things and bought 3 of them immediately was they actually matched the DS Lite, or at least my DS Lite. It sort of had a similar aesthetic, very clean lines, very white, had that sort of mid-2000s Apple look, which I loved about the original DS Lite. So it was just the perfect thing to get for my DS game cartridges, which, you carry with you on the road. You could line them up in that carrying case, which you can see in my review of that carrying case. However, I wanted a little more protection for my cartridges, so I opted for this route. And I'd be lying if I said it wasn't mostly because it just had Mario on the case, as well as his comrades, but look at that guy. So again, very nice, very clean design, and has those sort of Apple design aesthetics at work here. Although I'm not sure Apple would use that fucking font, but adorable nonetheless, and really, really useful. Let's pop these open, and as you can see, they have each one has 6 slots for cartridges, as well as a little slot for an extra stylus. Back when the DS was a new thing, people lost styluses left and right. We weren't used to carrying around styluses. Are you kidding me? Geez, Nintendo. 2 screens and styluses? They were springing all this on us. And some of us just weren't prepared. And so it's fortunate then that these cases had carriers, had little slots for extra styluses, which we would inevitably need. Now, if there's one thing that sucked about these, it's that they didn't come with a spare stylus. Those were slots for your spare styluses that you already had, or that you would purchase in the future. But as you can see, look at this. Years later, again, almost a decade later, I still have that a spare DS Lite stylus in this cartridge holder. That's amazing. How many of you can say you still have styluses that are like, from when you spare styluses from when you bought the system? That's amazing. That's the kind of security that only Mario can provide in his white game cases from GameStop. Boy, I feel like GameStop. You guys owe me. Where are my royalties? I have had these, again, since the DS Lite launch. So we were talking almost a decade. And if there's one drawback to these things, they're still in great shape, with one little exception. It's something you see often in gaming when it comes to the plastic side of gaming. There is a little yellow coloration happening there. You can see the bottom half is really white still. It's a little bit of a yellow sort of aged tint to the top. And not really even the front, just like kind of see it on the side. So what I would say is that if for some reason you still have not delved into the world that is the Nintendo DS, particularly the DS Lite, man, you really need to do that. And when you do that, be sure to buy some of these, because these are just great. That way, you can take a bunch of cartridges with you on the go without losing them. It's a lot easier to keep this in your pocket with your DS Lite than to just have the cartridges all willy-nilly or in a little bag of some kind. You don't want to keep them in a bag or your pocket. You want to keep them in something that's this cool. Look at that. It sits right on top, it looks nice, and it's safe. And look at that, you can throw this and bang it, it's not going to hurt anything. Because it's Mario. Because Mario can't be hurt. That is a fact. You can look it up, you can confirm it in books. I'm not sure anything I just said is true. In fact, I know it's false because Mario can actually die in video games, so disregard everything I just said, except that these are very useful, and if you can find them at GameStop, again, I've found them recently, still being sold. And if you see them, and if you're a guy who plays enough, you know, if you're a guy or girl that plays enough DS that you still need to take several cartridges with you on bus trips or field trips of some kind, man, these are a great thing to have. It's the GameStop Nintendo DS Nintendo-themed carrying cases for DS cartridges. I don't think that's a proper noun. This is a series of nouns. That's a generic description of what they are, because I don't know what they're called. And frankly, it doesn't matter. When something's good, you can call it whatever you want. I'll tell you what I call it. I call it my Mario game case. And that's just magical.